Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Jared, I see you, man. Thanks for the love. I'll see what we can do down there in Big D. Brandon, thank you for the stars. We kick off our Saturday night main event. I know there's a lot of things going on right now. There's a Thunder game. There is a UFC fight for this dude in Canada. It's hysterical. I just want to hear his speech. Anyway, so there's a lot going on. Plus, we have a nice storm to talk about. So obviously, I'm here for that part. Mary, thank you for the stars, and David as well, and Melinda, appreciate you. You guys in the right place. The weather wars are happening, says David. There really is no war because there's no competition. I'm so far out in the lead. It's just funny. It's like little chihuahuas nipping at your heels. I'm like, go on, get on out of here. Goodness. So it's just having some fun. I tell you what, looked at some new data. So hot off the presses, we are in that 48-hour window, of course, for the entire storm system to wrap up. So Saturday night to Sunday night to Monday night. So that's the 48-hour window. So now the data that we have here is really the best we're going to get. Therefore, the forecast that we have is the most fine-tuned you will get. I don't expect many changes after this point. Leading into this, because everything's been pretty much, quote, status quo. So I know some of you do go to other sources for your weather information. I'm sorry to hear that. It pains me to hear that. I did make that little post, though, that before you just go and take somebody's word for it, just ask what their credentials are, and you'll be surprised. You will find out that, oh, I've been following somebody who's a scammer, a fraud, a fake, a phony. Why was I doing that? Well, because you didn't do due diligence. But anyway, so do that, and then you'll end up following a lot less people, and you'll get a lot less false information. Angelique, thank you for the stars tonight. Appreciate you. Daniel as well. Tracy, guys, send me some love tonight. Thank you very much. So let's get on with it. Actually, this forecast won't be that long. It'll be a little short because I've cut out a lot of stuff. Some of you are going, woohoo! I know, I get a little long-winded, but remember, I'm coming to you as the scientific side of teaching some things along the way so that you learn. And besides, I've been presenting my case all week long in the events here, so I don't have to convince you it's going to happen. Now I'll focus on basically the timing, how it'll happen, and then the locations and the precipitations. That'll be the main focus here for tonight. And we'll wrap that up here relatively quickly. So for those that are late to the party, they'll probably miss out. Or they might tune in just as I'm giving that. So we'll see. Out there currently, it's cold. I mean, it's 23 degrees in my backyard. And we're going to cool down maybe a couple of degrees. With the clouds starting to build, that'll probably help to prevent that from happening. By the way, you guys in Mustang, thanks for checking in there, Jim. And, of course, all of YouTube. Guys, appreciate where you type in where you're from. It's always neat to see you guys tuning in from all over the state. So Muskogee's in the house, El Reno, Blanchard. We got Tuttle in there. Hello, Tuttle. El Reno, McIntosh, Bartlesville, Mustang, Edmond. You guys are all over the place. Same thing for you guys on Facebook as well. Elizabeth is already calling for Larry. Will Larry make an appearance tonight? Hey, Karen. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And on Facebook, if you do want to get into my public new broadcast channel, I'm going to post a link. You can click on it. Also, if you'd like to support me, there's a link to donate tab as well in the comments section. Okay, so let's see. Let me load up my map here and get this show on the road. Okay. All right. Let's load this up first. So, temperatures out there across the state. They are into the teens across northern Oklahoma, and they're into the 20s across central and southern Oklahoma. And what you see in this little yellow shading right here, this is a winter storm watch. So this particular region is issued by the National Weather Service out of Tulsa. The National Weather Service in Norman has not issued theirs yet. They will. They're probably waiting to see the newest data this evening before they decide where and when and all that stuff. But Winter Storm Watch, though, does so far, again, cover this area from Sulphur to Shamingo, Atoka, Colgate, Allen, Holdenville, Wetumpka, Crowder, Greenwood, Mountain View, all this kind of stuff out here to Arkansas. So don't worry if you're like, well, hey, I'm not in the watch, I'm up here. Don't worry, you'll be. What about over here? Yeah, you'll be there too. What about over here? Yeah, you'll be in something too. So there'll be little advisories all over the place, and we'll let the Weather Service figure all that out. That's neither here nor there for me. I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. All right, look out here to the west. You see all this moisture coming in across the southwestern part of the country? That is our storm system, so it's already starting to kick off some waves here that are moving on off to the east. The first wave is moving through New Mexico, northern Mexico, and even some signals out here across western Texas. So that is the beginning of what is going to change our weather. Well, out there we do have, we have those temperatures that, they're cold, they're in the 20s for the most part, and wind chills won't be that bad because our winds are fairly light. They're out of the east direction, 5 to 10 miles per hour across most of the state, with the exception of the Panhandle. Temperatures this morning, quite cold, single digits across about the northern half of the state, lower teens on the southern half of the state. Now this afternoon was a nice rebound. Had a lot of sunshine out there. Temperatures did get a little warmer than models had predicted. They actually were colder than models predicted in the morning, but a little warmer in the afternoon. So it was a split difference. But cooler up to the north and a little bit milder down to the south. If you look at the 2-inch soil temperature, because the cold air has come in, obviously since Friday, we've cooled things down by about a degree or two. So these temperatures here are very important. They're key factors when it comes to flash freezing with any precipitation on the roadways, which is why we're going to be an ice skating rink come Sunday late afternoon. Did you hear what I said? Late afternoon. I don't know what you've been hearing, but late afternoon through Monday morning. All right, so what is freezing rain? For those of you folks that have not tuned in all week, you're like, what is going on here? Freezing rain is liquid precipitation that freezes on contact with cold surfaces as it enters a shallow layer of temperatures at or below 32 degrees near the surface. So this creates a dangerous coating of ice on roads, walkways, streets, power lines, etc. This is kind of how it falls from the cloud cover, or at the cloud level. It falls actually as snow, but then it falls into this layer of warm air a few thousand feet off the ground, and that melts it into rainfall. And then it goes back down to this cold layer where we live, just a few hundred feet off the ground to 1,000 feet or so. And that is below freezing, therefore it flash freezes on all the elevated surfaces. And of course the bridges, overpasses, the roadways, the grass, all that kind of stuff. So like we said, right now the current hazard is out here with the Winter Storm Watch in blue, and that will expand to include other colors and other advisories as we go over time, over the night tonight into tomorrow. So you'll see that map brighten up like a Christmas tree. Here is a look at our upper level disturbance out here across the southwest. Here's our little waves of moisture that come in. And so this is producing some high-level clouds, mid-level clouds. So these will work through the state tonight, and that's what's going to help to keep temperatures from falling too much. And it'll start to moisten up the atmosphere at that layer. And then we've got some low-level moisture coming in from the south. And I didn't even think to put this on here. I wonder if I could show that. I'll do it later. But regardless, we're going to have an increase in clouds for tomorrow. So what I'm going to focus on is the lift in the atmosphere and the way the rounds will come in. So that way we have the timing down. So we'll start you off here about midday Sunday. So if you notice where you have all these little orange and red areas, this is lift in the atmosphere. This is the first wave. So this first wave will move through like so. And then a secondary wave will follow it and come in like that. So here again, here's that first cluster. So that'll move through as we head into Sunday afternoon and evening. So that moves through Oklahoma during the evening hours. Here comes a secondary wave down south into Texas overnight for Sunday night and a Monday morning. And that moves into southern and southeastern Oklahoma during the morning hours on Monday. And then that progresses eastward toward Arkansas and Missouri. A lot more lift with this secondary wave than the first one. But by then, the temperatures will recover, and there should be a cold rain versus a lot of ice. Thank goodness. We do look at the wet bulb temperature, so this is interesting because this has been a little bit of a change in the model data of where the wet bulb temperatures were going to start. Remember, this is where we have our freezing line where the ice will occur. So this particular case, we'll start you off here. This is midnight on Sunday night into Monday morning. This is the midnight hour. Just look at where the freezing line is. This is way down here. So that means anything that happens Sunday, late afternoon, and evening through midnight, all the way from this area above to the north of this little red line, is will be all freezing rain. So as we go through time, let's go to Monday morning. Let's stop it right here. Let's see, what time is this? Yeah, it's Monday morning right here. So we've kind of moved that line from there, kind of snakes around. The models have a tough time finding out where it is. Is it there? or does it snake in here to the Red River here? So this is where the fine resolution of the models try to do their best. This one isn't one of those. It's more of a broader paintbrush picture. But the point is, it is showing a little early start to a warm air advection into North Texas, and it's now sneaking into southern Oklahoma when that secondary wave is coming through. So that may help to eliminate, or not say eliminate, to reduce ice totals. By mid-morning, it's actually trying to get that wet bulb temperature up into this part of the state, which means this would save southeastern Oklahoma for a significant ice storm, because the amounts down here are going to be ridiculous. We're talking well over probably an inch of rainfall when it's all said and done. So that's going to be a saving grace for them. But you still see we're here in central Oklahoma and northeastern, we're still on the dividing line there. We're still going to get a little bit of freezing rain through the mid-morning hours. And by lunchtime, as promised, all week long, it looks like everything's going to start to defrost and melt, and the road temperatures and everything else, allow that ice to turn this to regular old wetness and not iciness. So again, from lunchtime onward, it looks like it's pretty good. The exception to the rule will be out here in Arkansas, Missouri for a couple more hours. And it looks like they're still a little below here out in northwest, but don't expect much in the way of precipitation, very heavy. But anything that does come down in your area until it is above freezing is going to add slicks roads to your drive. Okay, so here's a look at temperatures for the rest of tonight into tomorrow. Notice that they don't drop as much, so lower 20s in the teens as we head into the morning hours. All right, so there's 6, 7 o'clock. Then we head into the afternoon. Models do get us barely above freezing by a couple degrees in many cases. In other cases, not so much. Where the blue is, we don't quite get above freezing because clouds are thicker across the southern half of the state during the first part of the day, so they don't get to warm up as much. But as we head into Sunday evening, by 5 and 6 o'clock, you can see how these numbers are back into the upper 20s to near 30. Again, that's a key important factor when it comes to precipitation. And then we stay below freezing Sunday night. Here's Monday morning. Now watch how the temperatures are starting to recover here in southeast Oklahoma. Now, will it be this strong? Will it be this adamant? It's hard to say. Models indicating some very significant warm air advection, and that would be great. I'd love to see this. Again, this will be a saving grace for those folks. But that kind of just shoves the more of the significant accumulation, kind of in this pocket here, because this would save that area, and this would be the higher amounts of ice. I'm going to show you that here in just a few seconds. Anyway, so we go to Monday through the mid-morning hours. Here's 9 and 10 o'clock. You can see how we're gradually eroding all those little pockets of freezing temperature. So by the afternoon for lunchtime, most of the state's pretty much out of that area, and then we warm things above freezing, and any raindrops left over are just cold, chilly raindrops and no ice. We did talk about the wind, and that will be a factor, believe it or not. And any time you can get ice accumulations, about a quarter of an inch or more, it's really affected by the wind, which can aid power outages. As we head into Sunday, let's go to the morning hours. You can see a lot of wind up here across the northwestern quadrant of the state. Winds gusting up to 40 plus miles per hour for Sunday morning even. That's pretty windy. As we go to the midday and afternoon, the winds are still howling around there, gusting at times. Southeast Oklahoma, not so much. As we head to the 4 and 5 o'clock time, this is where we're already going to have freezing drizzle and light freezing rain moving through, with wind gusts up around 30 miles per hour. Those winds stay up Sunday evening, and we are adding to the ice accumulations during this time. So that is quite a bit of wind. So that's going to probably increase power outages. In this data, it's actually gotten more robust than in prior data. In other words, the wind has increased each model run over the last couple of days for more gusty winds over 30 miles per hour. So that's not good news when it comes to power. So some of you will lose power. I'll show you the more highlighted areas of where that's more likely in a minute. Otherwise, as we head into Monday morning, as that secondary wave comes through, there's still pockets of wind to speak of, and any ice accumulations by that point will be a factor. And as we head into the rest of the morning hours, it still stays pretty windy, and it gets really windy out here across far southeastern Oklahoma and northwestern Arkansas. It gusts over 40, while they still have a little touch of ice still going on. But as the wind picks up, the temperature's also warm, so it's kind of a catch-22. All right, so that takes care of the wind. It takes care of temperatures. When it talks to timing and location and amounts, let's get to that. First off, this is like a little ensemble blend of some of our short-term models. Just kind of want to show you the big picture of what it's thinking. So the red, of course, is freezing rain. That first wave that comes in, look how it starts in southwest Oklahoma and then blossoms right over central Oklahoma, north and south on I-35, up into northeast Oklahoma, down south again overnight. And that secondary wave then kicks in, and that continues to press through Dallas-Fort Worth to the west, into the north and northeast. This is about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the model data hasn't come in just yet, and I can come back to this here in a minute. and we'll see what the totals are. But as far as the precipitation is concerned, the little green areas is light precipitation that will add up hour by hour, and even a little bit heavier here as we get to the latter part of Sunday night and Monday. So we'll show you those, what that ends up being accumulation-wise. So here's a look at the NAM. I'm highly favored on the NAM for this event, the high-resolution version, just so you know. If you're always wondering which model am I using, well, this one today, I'm going to use this one. But I'm also going to use the HER. And I'm actually going to favor the HER over the NAM when it comes to totals. This is just to get big picture. All right, so this is the Sunday afternoon time frame. You can see how the precipitation has already started. This is around 4 o'clock, by the way. So this is 4 o'clock. It already shows some sprinkles and some light showers and some drizzle all the way here in the southern half of Oklahoma, kind of in this bounded region. So that means if you're going to be out in your way, out and about in the roadways, after 3 o'clock, you're rolling the dice, my friend, especially here in the southern parts of the state. And this will quickly move to the north and east, hour by hour, so you don't have a lot of time to get things done on Sunday late in the day. Otherwise, the precipitation goes all the way down to Texas, through Dallas, etc. Now, it's light at first, but that wave does pick up in intensity. So, for example, here's 6 and 7 o'clock. You can see how that expands across the southern half of Oklahoma and making its way into northeastern Oklahoma as well north of the Oklahoma City metro. So that's a little bit of a change. The models brought that little heavier band on up to the northern parts of the state for nice icing glazing. And then for Sunday night into Monday, here comes that secondary wave of all that red, which is all freezing rain from Dallas northward on into Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And you can see what I'm kind of talking about here, where the models are kind of fighting. So this is by Monday morning. Keeps this area just a couple of degrees above freezing. So there's the freezing line. That's a hard line in the sand. Then back here in Arkansas, Missouri, etc. as that moves on by. And then it's just rain after that, just a cold rain, but it's also moving out of the state as we head for the rest of Monday afternoon. And then Missouri still gets a little bit north and east from there. So that's kind of how that looks. We'll zoom in to Oklahoma. I'm also going to show you some ice amounts a little bit more detailed in surrounding states too. So let's zip onto the afternoon hours. So here's 3 o'clock. All right, so 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you see those little sprinkles right here that's showing up on the map? That's the model indicating that moisture is already moving in. And if we look at the forecast sounding at this particular time, there's all of our moisture right here where the lines touch. There's our temperatures that are above the freezing point. So we do have, this funny is, this one actually says we might get a little bit of sleet at the very onset. That's mixed in with the freezing drizzle and freezing rain. So only because the atmosphere has to moisten first, and sometimes when there's some evaporative cooling, that can cause a little bit of sleet, but I still think it's going to be mostly freezing drizzle and freezing rain. But regardless, it's all going to be ice. So there's 4 o'clock, there's 5 o'clock, there's 6 o'clock, moving through from Oklahoma City down south on I-35 back toward Lawton, Wichita Falls, even Altus getting in on the action. And there's that light activity here for Tulsa during the evening hours, and then it picks up and gets heavier for 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You can see that expansion, that blow up here of all this red on the map. That's all freezing rain up to Enid, Woods County, up here in the far northern Oklahoma, southern Kansas, southeastern Kansas. There's all your ice through 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. Here's midnight. There's again that first wave that's now starting to wrap up as far as the heaviness goes, moves out to the east. And then we had the secondary wave coming in as we head into late Sunday night. So here's 3 o'clock in the morning. Man, that's some heavy freezing rain down there in southern Oklahoma, moving right up the I-35 corridor. And then back here in east central Oklahoma, up toward McAllister. And then, this is 6 a.m., all right? That's a lot of freezing rain, folks. That's an ice storm, just so you know. If we head into the 7 o'clock hour, look how it starts to melt, basically. Look at this as the melting line, which is great news in that part of the state. But otherwise, the rest of us still on the cold side. So we still get the freezing rain accumulations up through Tulsa through 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning. And now we're starting to get that transition as temperatures start to warm and we finally get above freezing. And so there's no more pink on the map for Oklahoma. All right, ice amounts. Let's take a look at this. So this is the latest model. If you take a look at each model, the latest runs for today, we're going to look at the take home, and then I'll show you what the amounts probably should be. So let's see. Let's bound this in something like this, because this is kind of where we had been looking, and we'll see how things have changed. All right. So there's the European. It's pretty consistent, and it has amounts here: 3/10. There's 4/10. Up here, western Arkansas, 4/10. Up to eastern Oklahoma, near 1/2 inch. Same thing up here in southern Missouri around Branson, 1/2 inch. So there's going to be pockets here. Definitely ice storm warning, I should say, criteria. It's already an ice storm, but ice storm warning was a short-term category put out by the National Weather Service for significant icing greater than 1/4 inch. That can lead to power outages. So anyway, the European's on board with that. All right, the Canadian model is also on board with that. It always goes too excited though on the precip amounts. It's going 3/4 of an inch to in some of these little darker purple areas. We'll see. I mean, I guess it could be close, but I'm going to err a little lower than that. Otherwise, about a half an inch in little pockets here. Let's go to the GFS, the American model. Even it kind of keeps the same picture as far as the amounts and locations. A wide spread, by the way, in this whole zone of 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, everyone. All right, and then you're going to have these little areas that get a little bit higher than that. That's 3/10 over many areas. The HER, and I'll take a look at this here on a zoomed in version, has these little 3 hot spots, 1, 2, 3, and that's 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. The NAM, this is where they like to drag it a little bit more south, down to the hill country and I-35, so a little touch of ice in the morning, or a Sunday night for those folks. And we'll go to the 3-kilometer NAM. And its trend has been to shove it to the west a little bit for higher amounts, and we'll take a closer look at that. And then we'll go to the model blend, which is a very conservative of all of them, but you can at least see the outline of where the precipitation is. Another version of the Canadian and another version of another high-resolution model, which puts so much warm air advection in here. It just ate up all the ice. So that's a little overkill, but at least it does have the hot spots out here of a 1/2 an inch here along this little corridor. In Arkansas, there's Missouri, again, this little hot spot here in south central Oklahoma. So that has not changed at all in the forecast all week as far as location and these little clusters of the hot spots. Now, we'll zoom into that. So here is a look at Oklahoma itself. Like I said, there's various different outcomes. So if I flip through all of them, you can see how it changes in the amounts. So we're going to blend a couple of them for my forecast. So here's the NAM. So we're going to blend this one with the HER. So what I like about each one. So what I like about the NAM, it's got a pretty wide area coverage. So it covers even up to Enid and northern Oklahoma and out toward Elk City. So the exception out here is the northwestern section of Oklahoma where you don't get much. You still might get some pockets of drizzle, very light moisture, but anything measurable as far as 1/10 of an inch, it doesn't look likely at all. But 1/10 of an inch here in Oklahoma City to maybe 1/4 of an inch, and that will extend down south here on I-35. There's some pockets here, 4/10 of an inch. Lawton, I don't know what's going out there, but you guys, that looks like 1/2 an inch in the model data on down to the south, and there's Tulsa at least 1/10, etc. But I like the heavier amounts of the HER spread across the region of the NAM. That's why I got to blend the two. So the HER, I like these amounts because it's widespread, 3/10, 4/10 in this area here. Down to McAllister, also 3/10 to 4/10 down to Sherman. There's a little hot spot again that shows up in Lawton. Oklahoma City, it's got a 700s here, but don't buy that at all. It's got Tulsa at 2/10. So I would have to blend the two, and when I do, it keeps the same outline. So let me put the outline back on here for you. So we'll use this. So we'll do the outline. For all in this little red, yellow shading, it's all freezing rain. So if you live anywhere in this yellow area, you're going to get freezing rain. And then we're talking about amounts. I like, for significant amounts, I like this region of Oklahoma. And I like up here into this region of Oklahoma like this. And this is where I think we're going to have the 1/4 to possibly even 1/2 inch of ice based off the data that I've seen. This is a wild card because if we get too much warm air advection, this will drop some of these totals down. So this is why I like this the most. It takes out less of the guesswork of what may happen here with warm air advection. And I do like this other secondary target out here that's kind of near Fort Smith as far as a little secondary hotspot. So again, this is where I like the 0.25. I don't know if I can draw this on here. 0.25, well, that's some really bad penmanship there, right? 0.25 to 1/2 inch of ice accumulations. And that's not too far from Oklahoma City Metro. So again, I don't buy the 700s. I don't think that's going to happen here. We'll get at least at a minimum 1/10 with possibility of at least 1/4 of an inch. I'm leaning more toward the 1/4 here in Oklahoma City. All right, so here's a look at Arkansas. So again, this is all just northwest of Little Rock. And here's that line from Fort Smith to Russellville where amounts are all the way. And this is mainly due to terrain and valleys for cold temperatures kind of pooling. So that's where you get these higher amounts of 1/2 an inch of ice accumulations in that area. But it's still a pretty good ice storm down here. There's Mena as well, and northern Arkansas. If we look at Missouri, same kind of takeaway here. We're looking at southern Missouri, southeast of Springfield, right around Branson, for about 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. So this will begin another big power. Again, where I'm showing you these hot spots, that's your power outage areas. I don't know if I mentioned that a minute ago, but that's your most likely region where you're going to see power outages a lot more than isolated in nature. Now, this is new in the data, and that's St. Louis showing up as a hot spot with 1/2 inch of ice. So that is a new territory that will get hit by some power issues. Now, if we go down to Texas, this is where things get a little on the questionable side. So we're looking at the HER again, and this is the ice that the HER had that comes in through like this. You notice it just keeps Dallas, it keeps Dallas out of it and most of Tarrant County. Now remember the NAM said, no, we're going to go like this, right? So I like the NAM coverage, but I like a little bit more of the per amount. So we go to the NAM, for example, and we look at this. You can at least see it now has measurable precipitation through Dallas of 1/10 of an inch. Personally, I think Dallas is going to be like Oklahoma City. Minimum, 1/10 of an inch. Maximum, 1/4 of an inch. Obviously, that's a problem for roadways. Not necessarily a problem for power outages unless they have a lot of wind with that mixed in, but there's going to be some. But you see the heavier stretches out here just west of town. I mean, there's going to be some trails here of 3/10 to 4/10, maybe even 1/2 an inch of ice accumulations here in northern Texas and northwest Texas. So that is your 3 or 4 big areas of ice accumulation. If we do look at the what we call the winter severity storm index for ice accumulations for this period. Now, remember, I've been telling you this model is I'll say a model. This is it's a blend of a lot of things. So it's a blend of model data, but it's also a blend of some stuff that the Weather Service and government uses for predicting power outages, infrastructure changes based off of winds, amounts, temperatures. So it's a big, complicated basket of stuff. But what they come out with is this try to simplify the scale for you. So potential winter storm impacts, it has moderate here in orange, and that's that hot spot I talked about around Branson, Springfield, out here across Arkansas, a couple places there, and then here's a little spot around McAllister, and otherwise down here in south central Oklahoma. So these, in this particular case, this is the most likely area where you're going to have, obviously everybody's going to have bad driving conditions, but this is even worse with thicker ice. But also closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur, aka power outages. Now, I can tell you that this is late to the party a lot of times. It has to play catch up. So the new one that comes in from tonight's data may include more in this area, right? But the take home that you're going to see is where you see these orange clusters, that's more likely where you get more power outages than outside of that area. Everybody's still going to get ice. So the travel thing's going to be a nightmare. So here's a look at we'll look at the Weather Service, a few of their graphics here for you. This is what they have here is late Sunday, and they have timing at 6 p.m. Sunday. So I'll disagree with that. I'll call it as early as 3 to 4 o'clock. Otherwise, this is the area where the heavier precipitation would be versus kind of the lighter precipitation. And I would bring this back out here to the west a little bit based off what we just saw a minute ago. Let's see. Let's get off of that one. Let's see what else they got on here. The morning freezing rain, same idea. Heaviest out here in southeast Oklahoma, lighter amounts as you travel up to the north and west. Let's see, and I think that was it. So evening, morning. Oh yeah, this guy right here. Okay, so they have upped their ice accumulation forecast. So they are now going 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice in that little zone I talked about. So that's around Ardmore to Ada, and then it kind of ends there. And maybe a little secondary one here around McAllister. Here for Oklahoma City, they kept us on the light side. You see that hard line in the sand right along I-44. And remember, I told you I-44 over the last few days has been the hard line in the sand. I mean, just north and west, you don't get a whole lot of significant amounts. But looking at that latest data, we did see some of that kind of trickle on that first wave through here. So I think we'll have no problem getting 1/10 of an inch in many of these areas. And I still think with that second wave, we'll probably get up to 1/4. Regardless, the same kind of information here. Freezing rain starts, will be late Sunday afternoon after 3 in southern, southwestern, even parts of central Oklahoma, especially as we head into the latter part of the day, and north Texas. And then temperatures, of course, will be warming above freezing as we head into late Monday morning. So those are kind of the highlights there. And then potential impacts, of course, it'll be travel problems and potential for power outages in the highest totals. So be prepared for sudden changes in traction while driving. Well, there will be no traction if you're out there driving this stuff. And allow time to get to destination, or just kind of wait for everything to kind of thaw out. Tulsa, same kind of idea. They're kind of going with the power outage little areas here too, and they've upped the precipitation amounts here in this part of Oklahoma and in Arkansas for well over 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then 1/4 inch here is what they have up around McAllister up to just on the south end of Tulsa. And of course, they'll update that with new data as well. Temperatures, well, teens to around the low 20s tonight here across central Oklahoma. And then on Monday morning, we'll be into the mid to upper 20s at midnight, gradually adding a degree just about every couple of hours. And then we'll eventually get you maybe to around 40 degrees for the afternoon on Monday as we kind of melt everything off and move it away. If you are traveling, you do have plans, remember to go to aarontuttle.weather.com, or you can use my free weather app, AT's Weather to Go. There is a tab on there in the menu for multi-state road conditions. So you click that tab, it'll show you the soil temperatures, and then it'll come on down, it'll show you the Oklahoma road conditions, You can also look here at these, and you can zoom this around the states. You can go from Oklahoma City to Tulsa. And you can click any of these little pictures just to see what it looks like in real time. And sometimes they're live video, other times, they're just still traffic cameras. But regardless, you can click on any of those, and it'll pop up full screen, and then you can see how traffic's moving along or not moving along. You can see how many cars are in a ditch or not in a ditch. Kansas, same idea. You can click on any of this stuff for Kansas, and Missouri's on here. Also got the other states, got Texas, and also got Arkansas. So that'll get you all the information you need to know when you're trying to head out the door. Now, obviously, in my opinion, you will not be going out the door Sunday night into Monday morning, and that's just the way it is. So that is what I have in a nutshell. So you got to try to get that done as fast as possible. So what was that? It was still long. I tried to cut that down to 15 minutes, and there's no way I made that. 20 something. Anyway, that was a little faster than the other ones, but I had so much to tell you, right? But anyway, so that's the latest. If you're late, you want the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. All right, so the bottom line is this. Ice storm will be developing starting tomorrow, late afternoon, 4 o'clock here in southwest Oklahoma, quickly moving to the north and east across central and southern Oklahoma. So cut your travel out by 3 o'clock. Knock on wood, you should be okay. You can watch radar trends, obviously. If you're trying to go anywhere and you got to be somewhere, just make sure you're there and back by 3 o'clock. The precipitation gets heavier. So we have that first wave that moves through. That's enough to just sheet everything in ice, shiny ice. Roads, bridges, overpasses, side roads, doesn't matter. All the same. And then that extends from Oklahoma all the way down south into Texas, North Texas, even toward the hill country for the beginning of the event on Sunday until they warm up overnight. But that does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so I'm still calling for ice there. Amounts, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in Dallas-Fort Worth. Same thing into Oklahoma City. Same thing in Tulsa. Some of the data indicates that, you guys may get a little more than that, 3/10 of an inch. It just depends on where these little hot spots travel. The models aren't that good to tell you exactly where they're going to be for training and stuff for cells that develop. But it's going to be pockets across the state of anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch. No problems. And that we looked at the main area of that, and that seems to be right now, anyway, in the data, south central Oklahoma and then kind of east central Oklahoma. So that seems to be the hot spot there. Another little one around McAllister, another one around Fort Smith, another one in southern Missouri, and northwestern northern Arkansas. So that kind of seems to be the hot spots where you probably have the most power outages due just to ice accumulation, and the winds will be gusting up to around 30 miles per hour in these areas. So that will continue through Monday morning, and then as we get up, so Monday morning from Dallas, that area should be defrosting. So it'll be interesting what happens in Dallas. It could be a deal where it's freezing rain, all night, and then by like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, temperatures start to warm up as people start to hit the roadways. That would be the ideal situation, because if not, forget about it. That'll be a hockey rink down there. That'd be a mess. So they can hope for that. That's all they can hope for. I don't know what else to tell you. Data says it could hold off until 7 o'clock, so that would still include most of rush hour time. So we'll see. It's going to be a close call down there. Regardless, that warming trend moves north to the Red River during the next couple hours after that, so that we do start to get some of that warm advection in the southeast Oklahoma. Models are now going a little robust with that to try to help eliminate ice totals there in southeast Oklahoma as they get above freezing before the rest of us do. Otherwise, the rest of us do get above freezing by late morning, so 10 o'clock, 11. Most of the state is probably about above freezing by then, and by noon for sure. And then you just have leftover for Arkansas and Missouri for a couple hours after that. So that's the timing, that's the location, those are the amounts, and those are the threats. So that sums it all up for you. And that's it. Just told you everything there is to know. I do want to thank you guys though for your support on Facebook, sending me the stars, and I wish I'd give a shout out to everybody. But I look at those maps and then I can't see your comments. By the way, if you do leave comments, you want a question answered, I can't do it while I'm looking at maps, but after I'm done, I usually go back and look. But many of you did give me a little gift tonight, so I appreciate that for my hard work and the time I do spend, because it does take a lot of time to look at all the data and then present this to you. But I'm glad to do it. That's my gift to you. So that's what I do. I serve. I'm supposed to serve others, and I just serve it in this fashion. Let's see, what else? Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. Doesn't cost anything. You can track radar on there. You can look at the road conditions, as I mentioned. Let's see, what else? Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. Doesn't cost anything. You can track radar on there. You can look at the road conditions, as I mentioned. Let's see, what else? Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. Doesn't cost anything. You can track radar on there. You can look at the road conditions, as I mentioned. Let's see, what else? Let's do. No, let's not even do that. I was going to show you some more data, but we've already seen it all before, and it hasn't really changed any. So I'll just go to a couple questions. How about that? Do you think schools will close? Becca wants to know. Yes, I do. I think all the schools will be closed. Now, the deal is, Dustin, driving back to Oklahoma City tomorrow from Dallas. Just make sure you're back by 3 o'clock. If you're traveling or need to on Monday, just wait until late morning. So right now, put a start time at the gate at 11 o'clock in the morning. And just check temperatures in your area before you do. And look at those road conditions before you do. But by then and by noon, you should be able to get out and about and do anything. So you're not stuck. This isn't one of those deals you're stuck for days. You don't need to raid the grocery stores. So Branson, yeah, a half inch of ice. Locals, tell them to go back to school. Let's see. You're welcome, Jude. Let's see what else. It's funny how my brain has to stop talking so it can read. I can only scroll up so far, by the way. So if you did have something important, you'll have to retype it. Tulsa, Rebecca. So your precipitation will start probably closer to 6 o'clock for Sunday, for your ice, for your very light dosing of ice. I can go back and look at that map here in a second just to verify. I looked at a lot of data, so my head hurts and everything runs together. But let me go back and look, just so that you don't kill me if it starts at 5:30. Okay, so I've gone up as far as I can on Facebook. I just saw Miranda's comment. I ain't got time to watch this. Just tell me if there's going to be ice. That's hilarious. Okay, let's go back to, let me look at that map real quick for start time at Tulsa. All right, for the signal, there's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. Yeah, you see all that? These little sprinkles? So that's 6 o'clock, and there's 5 o'clock. So according to the NAM, it's already happened. Let me look at the HER. I meant to pull the HER up, actually, when I was going to zoom in. So I don't know if I did that or not. Let's just run through it in case you're really late. You don't even know what's going on. So let's zip you through here. So there's Sunday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, the error that the HER has is that it has it painted green instead of pink for freezing rain. But there's 4 o'clock, and there it finally turns it pink. There's 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. You see how really heavy that moves through central Oklahoma. This is why I think I use the 3-kilometer NAM better. At least it could show you visually. There's the heavy stuff moving through Tulsa between 7 and 8 and 9 o'clock. And 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. You can see how it keeps on coming on. Now there's midnight. You can see how heavy stuff there in southern Oklahoma, which is why the ice totals were higher in that little sweet spot. McAllister, Muskogee. See, you know how I-44 corridor still seems to be that dividing line. There's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then we kind of wrap things up. We should start to warm up a little by little, and therefore the model's trying to change it back over to rain by 10 and 11 o'clock as warm air works its way in from southern Oklahoma for the rest of the day. So by lunchtime, it just has us all green for rain versus anything, pink for ice. And then it moves on out of there by the afternoon. So that's kind of the latest look at the HER. So, but anyway, so that kind of helps out on your timing. Light stuff in Tulsa as early as 5 o'clock, and then it gets heavier as you get into the evening. And then the same thing for Oklahoma City. Light stuff as early as, say, 3 o'clock, and it gets heavier as we go every hour after that through the evening. All right. Let me go look at a couple more comments. Chris. Teresa, it starts at 3 o'clock in southwest Oklahoma. Maybe even earlier than that. What time did this guy have it? Yeah, 2 o'clock. There's 3 o'clock. Oh. So there's 2 o'clock. See what I'm saying? And you're going to split the difference. The bottom line is after 2, after 3, this whole area of southwestern southern Oklahoma is fair game. So that's why I say just by 3 o'clock be home. So and watch radar trends. Yeah, Wendy, that's Lawton. All right, and then let me go over you guys on YouTube. You guys have any questions over there? I see some of you guys are watching the 49ers game. Sidekick, more details about Fort Worth area. Hopefully you got that. I can zoom in. I didn't zoom in for you on the timing, but I can do that. I did give you the amounts, and I'll zoom in. I already did the amounts, but we can give you one more look. All right, so let's do that. We'll do the her first, and then I'll go over to the NAM, because I think I like the NAM better anyways. All right, so Sunday, by afternoon, it already has some sprinkles on here. Let's see what the sunning looks like. Maybe. It's a little early for that. Might get a couple sprinkles. Let's see, here's 1, 2 o'clock. Yeah, it's on the northern end of this wave that kicks out over Tyler in northeast Texas by 2. So you're kind of on the northern fringe of that. And then it's got the other heavier wave that comes in around 4 for Dallas-Fort Worth, and to the left by 5 o'clock that rolls through. So your evening, Sunday evening, is going to be icy. And there's that secondary wave there. Sunday night into Monday morning. Now this brings in the warmer air sooner for you on Monday. So for example, the forecast sounding down here at that particular time is 35 degrees over 35. So it warms up in Dallas before drop time. That would be ideal. That would be perfect. Let's see if the NAM does that. I never looked that closely at you guys for that situation. We'll do it now. Sunday morning, it's already got some sprinkles for you guys. Ooh, that's not good. That first wave says sleet, but that'd be interesting. So for Dallas, your event may be even sooner. It may be lunchtime when you get a little bit of light glazing of ice on bridges, overpasses, and roadways. So I think right now your main issue, because ground temps are still pretty warm down there, would be your bridges and overpasses. So that would be a light glazing there as early as lunchtime on Sunday. But it's very, very light. So it might be misleading. It might just be patches, which is even worse, right? Because then you don't even know it's coming until you hit it. Now we go to 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and there's your heavier precipitation that does come in. So it looks like the atmosphere is moistening up enough to get something a bit more widespread. And you're 33 with the dew point of 19, so you're definitely cold enough for all freezing rain. And then that big wave, though, comes in, looks like 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, just like the other model does at 7 for some heavy precipitation moving through. And the model doesn't paint pink on the map, but it should, because your wet bulb is below freezing, even though it says rain. And then as you head into the evening hours on Sunday, there's midnight. Nice little heavy wave moves through. At least this time around, it painted you pink and red in some areas. At 1 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3, so there's your heavy icing. So it looks like for Dallas, your event's a little more difficult. It's more of a Sunday afternoon through the early part of Sunday night. So by 5 o'clock, for example, it still has the northwest side of Tarrant County cold enough for ice, but Dallas County, it has you at 33 over 33. So good news there. So assuming, that's a big assumption, but assuming that the model is correct, then the time-wise, the exact hour, which you will thaw, will be about 5 o'clock in the morning, which means perfect timing for rush hour traffic. Boy, you couldn't plan that any better. So fingers crossed that that's how that pans out. If it's off by a couple of hours, it's total pandemonium. If it's on track, get a big breather. But still, travel throughout Dallas at night will be problematic. So if there's a bunch of people out there driving around, there's a bunch of wrecks, well, then that's going to mess up and delay your travel in the morning anyway. But there you go. So hope that was helpful. So, I can't speak on behalf of the Weather Service when they issue their advisories. They have times of the day in which they do. And like I said, they have to do a gut check, and they got to get, there's an old expression, you either take a you know what, or get off the pot. So at some point, they got to do that, and then they'll come out with their advisories. They always want to wait to the very last minute to get the latest data. Some 49er fans in here. All right, well, listen, that's it for me. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10:19 actually, and I got to get going. So you guys, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your support. Remember, I'm going to caution you, when you have an event like this that's 8 days that I forecasted from last Sunday to next Sunday and Monday, kind of a deal, and you have other people that say that can't be done, and no one can do that, and it's not possible, and the data doesn't support it. Anytime you see any of that, I want you to put your brain together and go, really? Because Aaron did it. So if A plus B equals C, that means you are not qualified to do what you're saying you can do, which means you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the intelligence, you don't have the gut check power to do anything yourself. Then you got to follow the leader and wait for somebody else to do it. So I would say, if you hear anybody bashing somebody who's like me going out on a limb when nobody else is, just pay attention, and then if you really want to get into it, ask them what the qualifications are. Ask them if they've got a degree in meteorology, a 4-year degree from an accredited university where they teach you all the math and physics that you have to have, chemistry, you name it, computer science. It is a hard degree to get. If they don't have that, STFU. And you need to move on and get off that page. Why? I don't know. You can stay there if you want drama and nonsense and bad forecasts and then bashing of other weather guys because they know what they're doing and you don't. Sure, you can stay for that. I don't. I ain't got time for that nonsense. But that's just my opinion. Just like I don't go to a doctor who's not really a doctor. Don't go to a dentist who's not really a dentist. If it's a fraud, a con, I'm not giving them my time. I'm not giving them my money. I'm not giving them anything. They don't deserve a thing from me. So I hate con artists. I hate frauds. So my job is to weed them out and get them out of my field. I don't know why they're even here. It was bad a little bit in TV already, because you don't have to be a meteorologist in TV. Because why? Because a TV station doesn't care. Really. It's sad, but they do not care. All they care about is ratings. You can put the most unqualified person in the world, and if he can sing and dance like a monkey and get your attention, that's all they care about. So in the weather field, I had to really keep my mouth shut and just deal with it. Because, you know. And as I got older, I just focused on me. Just do me. Don't worry about anybody else. You know, and it's one of those deals you got to put up with. So, dirty part of the business. And then the internet came along. That put TV to shame. There's so many clowns out there on the internet, all posting weather models and stuff, all acting like they know what they're talking about. And then the sad part is none of them are qualified. And then you guys don't know that. So everybody watches and shares and follows all these nut jobs. And then you go, oh, it's okay. You don't always get them right. Well, of course not going to get them right. They're going to blow it, and they're going to make the rest of us look bad as a science overall. So that's frustrating. And there's no control I've got over that. So all I control about is my little domain. Just keep trucking along, do what I do, do the best job I can do, let my forecasts speak for themselves. Just so you know, I have never deleted a forecast. Why would I? Because I'm good at what I do. And I don't bust very often, very rare. And if I do, I take ownership. I don't hide it. I don't throw shade at somebody for it. But that's me. That's my makeup. That's who I am. That's my conviction, my morals. Other people have none of that. And when you see them deleting posts, you need to run. So 2010, every single post I've ever made is still there. Every video ever made is still there. You can go dig them up if you want. It may take you years, but you can go dig them all up. But anyway, so that's the way I approach it. So I'm a meteorologist, legit. Most people you're following right now are not. It's up to you to vet them. If you want to spend your time to do so, it's one question. Hey, show me your qualifications. Show me your credentials. And if they don't do it, you have your answer. If they hide it, you have your answer. If they delete your comment, you have your answer. If they laugh it off as it's not important, you have your answer. If you're being dismissed, you have your answer. If they say some school that you took like a class or two, you have your answer. Sorry, it is what it is. I just point out facts. I got no emotions in this. It's all data, baby. You're either in it or you're out of it. All right, that's it. And by the way, just because you are a meteorologist doesn't always mean you're as good as other meteorologists. Everybody, every field always has those that shine above the others, and that's usually due to work ethic, the situation they put themselves for learning education level, experience, all that kind of stuff. There's obviously a lot of factors that go in. Two people that do the same job that may have the same background obviously will do the job differently. You're going to have one that does it better than the other. That's just the way it is. It's just human nature. So in the weather field, all meteorologists are not created equal either. Some of them go to school and they focus like in maybe a certain area, like chemistry, for example, or computer science aspect of modeling. And then others will go for like forecasting or radar, like severe weather, right? So just because you focus on one area doesn't mean you're good at all the areas. It's kind of like a doctor. Think about a doctor, right? You can go to a general practitioner. He's supposed to kind of know a little bit about everything. Good luck with that, right? Because you'll know that you get what you pay for. And then you go like a cardiac, specialist, right? You go to a heart doctor. Well, he's not going to know anything about the mole on your face, but by golly, he can tell you everything about your heart. Same idea. Everybody has a specialty within that field. So mine is radar forecasting, radar coverage for severe weather, and weather forecasting. That's mine. Did I do programming in college? Yeah. Could I do it again now? Yeah, could. Do I want to? No. The closest I did was design my website years ago with HTML coding. That was fun because I hadn't done that in years. But other than that, I usually do just the forecasting and the radar coverage for severe storms. So that's kind of where I excel at. So that's what I do. But then I also have other skill sets that I bring outside of that. So in television news, obviously I learned a lot, and I was a sponge in that industry. So I learned about marketing, promotion, computer graphics, computer design, what else? Finance. So you roll all that in, you learn everything as you go along, and then you put it together, put it to use. So that's why later I built my own studio. So I'm on the tech side. I'm a techie. I'm always into computers and stuff. So you just kind of learn and you stick with it, right? So that's how I was able to. That's why I'm kind of unique in this. Is that one, I have the education level for doing what I do. Second, I have the knowledge over various equations that go into this. So like I'm talking about for the marketing, the promotion, and the computer science, and the graphic design, and all the tech stuff. I'm building this whole set, the studio set for the lighting, and then of course everything on the internet when it comes to bit rates, graphics cards you have to build, CPU power, all that kind of stuff. And you build your own gaming box before that was even a thing. So you have to kind of get all into that. So I understand I'm very rare in that. Plus, I have the time to do this, and I have the desire to do it, and I have a servant's heart, so I want to serve and do it. So I have a lot of built-in things that drive me to do what I'm doing and why I'm here. But that means I've worked very hard to get here, and I've paid attention along the way, and I was just able to put it all together and to do my own thing and leave the TV world of news and become my own, TV weather station. Back when the internet was new and everybody laughed at it, called me the internet meteorologist as a slang, even though technically I was a government meteorologist. But that doesn't sound good, right? If we're gonna try to slam somebody, that government meteorologist, it doesn't really work, right? But you can go, oh, that internet meteorologist, just don't listen to him. And that's how it started. And so here we are today, several years later, and now all of them want to be internet meteorologists. So anyway, so that's the end of all that nonsense. I will, a couple of models though did come in. So let me go look at those real quick to see if they changed on their ice total accumulations, to see if we need to adjust my thinking in any direction. And then I'm gonna turn you loose. Okay, so let's see what's come in. Okay. So the Canadian came in and the American came in. So those two are in. So I got to go to a big picture with that. So we'll go to this map here. Okay, so that was the NAM earlier. And this is the Canadian that just came in. All right, so it also has widespread in this red area from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. Hey, they got what I liked. I no longer have to just have you pretend it's actually on the map. 1/4 inch of ice in Tulsa, 1/4 inch of ice in Oklahoma City, 1/4 inch of ice down there in Lawton. Otherwise, it likes this little spot that we talked about earlier here in south central and east central Oklahoma, 3 to 4 tenths. And this got the little hot spot here I talked about, Fort Smith, across the border there, and also in the southern Missouri, up a 1/2 inch or more there, and again a 1/2 inch or more here. So not bad. I'll take that. Plus the glazing of ice up here in northern Oklahoma. and then of course down here in Southwest. It still does not have Dallas-Fort Worth though. It's going to be fun to see what happens with Dallas. I mean, like I think I told you this earlier at lunchtime, you got to err on the side of caution and call for ice, because if you have half the model say ice and half say rain, you're flipping a coin, right? And if you tell them it's not going to be icy and all of a sudden it is and there's wrecks everywhere and people die, you don't want to sleep with that. So you just go icy, tell everybody to stay home, for certain hours, and then let the chips fall where they may. If you bust, you bust. Take that bust and be happy about it, because it meant that nobody died, nobody got in wrecks. Let's see. So that was that model. The GFS, see what it's doing. It increased amounts overall a little bit. It still has those hot spots here and here. So interesting one popping up here northwest of Tulsa. Otherwise, about 2/10 here in Oklahoma City and 1/4 inch in Tulsa and down here in Lawton. Doesn't quite get to Dallas-Fort Worth as well, but and then down here in Missouri. Not so much here. Interesting. I know why. Because terrain and influence. It's not gonna be able to know what's going on out here in western Arkansas due to the terrain. So that's gonna be a failure point for it. So I'll ignore that. But otherwise, here in Missouri, a little bit more. And actually, believe it or not, this is not a good ice storm model. It underplays it significantly. So it's good to see, though, it's substantial. So in reality, I mean, if the weather service criteria for ice storm is 1/4 inch or more, with some good wind, it's an ice storm warning they should be triggering at some point in the event that you'll see. Until then, it'll be a winter storm watch and winter weather advisory and whatever else they want to come up with to get the message out. But bottom line is you want to stay off the roads. So there you go. All right, listen, that's really it for me. I'm going to get out of here. It is 10:30. So you guys have a good rest of your Saturday night. I'll be on the air again tomorrow around lunchtime, probably around 12 o'clock or so after the newer data comes in, and we'll track the trends in real time on satellite and radar to see the cloud cover and temperatures and all that kind of stuff, and see if the timing's still going to be around 3 o'clock for things to happen. Which, by the way, let me look at something real quick before I let you go. Hold on. Hold that thought. I was going to look at the timing of the Canadian. I didn't like it earlier. It's midday run. So I'm just going to see if it does anything different. Yeah, I don't like the timing of this one either. It's too late. That's okay. So, not important. All right. Listen, I'm out of here. You guys have a great night. Again, thanks for your support. Like the video. Share the video. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather. Let's defeat the algorithms. Let's do it organically. And we'll talk soon. Take care.